Alright, so I've finished my Zia Harp from Bastion. I have a few problems, so I'm going to have to make some modifications, but I wanted to go through the process of what I've built to this point. So, this is what it looks like. Now, I tried to be as accurate as possible with following the illustration. This meant there were a few problems. The art, while beautiful, is unfortunately not accurate for a musical instrument of this type. So when I did my research, I found that the kind of pegs that are pictured, which are these ones here, these are actually ukulele pegs. So in order to have this upright design like there is in the illustration, and the way it's drawn is that the strings come directly out of this top part here, which is not how these pegs work. They actually fasten at the back, which meant I had to make an access panel so that I could actually string them. And that also meant that I would need to have a way for the strings to come out at a 90-degree angle from the peg and come out the front. So these extra holes and this copper bar here were required in order to make it actually have a nice sound. But that is not part of the illustration. So I decided that rather than trying to paint it up and cover it, in which case you just have this kind of unseemly lump, I would just leave it there because it is a nice touch and it does go with the aesthetic of the harp. So the actual construction of it, the top part, is a little bit different from the illustrations because there were some variances on the different illustrations in the game, especially in the cutscenes. The shape of it actually changes depending on which official art you're looking at. So I went with a seated end closing scene illustration, which is the one that I'm basing my costume off of as well. So that was the shape that I liked the best, but the peg style is from the item illustration. So I had to do a bit of a composite to make it have a consistent look. So the base of it, I had to find a piece of driftwood that had the right kind of curvature to it. And unfortunately, driftwood is not even, so I had to build it up with plaster and with drywalling and with spackle, and that helped me to make it even, which it's actually about the entire end on this side is actually entirely built out of plaster here, and this one is actually the wood. So I tried to make it as even as I could with having that irregular base, which means that the weight for it is a little bit back heavy, which is nice because it actually sits in the arm like that. So it actually does balance that way. The bridge itself, in order to have the strings mount the way that they are in the illustration, that bridge is actually screw mounted onto the frame, which poses a problem. If a string breaks, it means I have to remove the entire bridge in order to replace that string, which I didn't think was going to be a problem because it's a costume piece, but in tuning it, I actually broke a string. So I don't have my low note because it snapped, but I do have the others, and I can play you, if you can hear it. So my goal was that I would be able to play Zia's song, Build a Wall, but I don't have the low notes, so I'm going to have to either replace that string or fudge it without the low note, and I haven't decided which I'm going to do yet, depending on how well it all works out. So there's the progress so far. It's taken about, I would say about 20 hours or so from start to finish. And the full materials are, I've got the ukulele pegs, which I painted with lacquer, copper, leather, wood, plaster, spackle, acrylic paint, acrylic sealant, steel, pine, oak, brass, steel, more oak, and nylon strings. So that is my Zia Harp from Supergiant Games. And if nothing else, it at least looks pretty. So thank you for watching.